What's a beat? My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. A beat is a story point that helps us to keep track of structure and plot within the story. I use a tool that has 8 plot points or 8 beats to it that is pretty general and can be used for a lot of different genres. This is a screen capture of the tool that I use. This is actually like an outdated version of it because I've got a little bit more color coding on it now. But this is for the movie Clueless, which is based on a Jane Austen novel, so it's a story that a lot of people are fairly familiar with. So the 8 beats that we have are over here in this column, and this is based loosely on Save the Cat. I have the Hollywood 3-act structure laid over it so that you can sort of understand, if you're studying other story structures, you can see the vestiges of those in this, but this is very generalizable. It does not have every single Save the Cat beat. It does not have all of the other beats that, especially if you're doing like a Campbellian hero's tale, it does not have all of those on there because not everybody is writing a story that needs all of those beats. But this is very generalized. This is very flexible. You can use it for a bunch of different types of stories. If we look at Clueless, our hook establishes normal for our character, not normal for us. In fact, Cher's normal is, she literally says, I have a way normal life for a teenage girl. While she's like living in her mansion and using computer programs that don't exist and have never actually existed to help her plan her outfits. So her normal is that she is rich, selfish, and completely out of touch with reality. That's normal for that character. Then we have an inciting incident that puts her on a new path that changes her normal. She gets a really bad report card and can't argue her way out of it for the first time in her life. We have a pinch that puts some pressure on the character, and then we have a big section here. This is the midpoint. This is the fun and games section. People will often get really upset with me when I talk about story structure because they're like, you're making all the books feel exactly the same, and I'm definitely not. This section here is different for first of all of these plot points are different for every single book, but this big, huge chunk, this is like 30% of the novel, is just the fun and games. This is determined by your genre, by your subgenre, by the type of story that you want to be writing in there. If you are writing a romance, this is going to be like banter, flirting, and denial of feelings here. If you are writing a fantasy, this can be traveling, this can be training montages, this is learning how to use our magic system. If it's a mystery, we are chasing down clues. If we are doing a buddy cop comedy, this is hijinks and capers, right? This is the stuff that makes your story fun and interesting. And I've got all of these different scenes and boxes here. You can fill in with whatever you want. I didn't fill this whole one in because I was just doing the 8 points to teach about beats. So in her midpoint, so she takes her makeover mood too far and reaches out to Ty, the new student who is adorably clueless. So, but there's a whole bunch of like world building elements, and we are like exploring what it means to be a rich kid in Beverly Hills, and all of this stuff is like in this big section here. Pinch number 2 puts some extra pressure on the character. This is often where the character goes from being reactive to proactive. So she is no longer being forced to act. She now is going to act of her own accord because she wants to make the change. She wants to do something different. Plot turn is where everything falls apart. This is where Ty goes after Josh. The darkest moment is where she knows she's wrong, but she isn't sure how to fix it. So she goes, like shopping won't even solve her problems anymore. And then she has an epiphany in front of the fountain. And that's the change into the resolution here. And your resolution is going to mirror your hook. That means it is either putting your character in a position in which they are the opposite or a mirror of what they were at the beginning. In Cher's case, she is going to learn how to be selfless and less judgmental. So she is not going to stay this out of touch, selfish person. She is realizing that she can't change other people, like over the course of the story. She can't force everyone into her model and her mold of what perfection looks like. She has to let them live their lives and be happy with who they are, and that way she'll be more happy with who she is as well. This is a really common character archetype in which the pretty popular girl is brought low, and I mean obviously it's based on an Austen novel, so yes, it's a perfect character because it's an Austen character, but this is a very typical structure. It follows the formula. It follows the expectations of the audience for the genre that it is in. But that does not mean that it is just like every other story out there. We have these 8 beats. There's 100 minutes in this movie. And so by saying that these 8 sort of emotional guideposts throughout the story should occur, that doesn't mean that every story is going to feel just like every other story that is out there.